Hello, my name is Jay Vagilla, and this is my video demo for my application, Trip of Life. So when you load into the application, you'll see the logo Trip of Life, and then you'll see a featured tab. And in this featured tab, you'll see one city out of the 10 city options. Next, you'll see popular cities, which is a horizontal scroll view of the different types of cities in our database that are and these are going to be the popular cities, and then cities A through Z, which is the cities sorted from A through Z. Now, what's good about this is that you can click on these and you'll see a detailed view, and in this detailed view, you'll see the corresponding image, the city name, the country of the city, and then things to do, which include the images, the title, the description, and then its rating. And you can see all the way down till here. And then same thing, you click on the featured ones, works the exact same way. Next, we have the user profile section. And in this, you can change the display name. So if I want to change my display name from my name Jay to user1, I can set display name and it will change to that. And then it also shows my email. And then it shows me 4 key query results. One is cities visited, which is the amount of cities that I've logged that I've visited. 6 future trips, which is the amount of trips that I have planned. 2 cities loved, which are out of the 3 cities I visited, how many had a rating of at least 8. And then favorite city, which is just the city that I gave the highest rating to. Additionally, I have the login and log out option. Since I'm logged in, clicking login won't do anything, but then clicking log out will prompt me back to the continue with email. And then I have 2 options. I can either do test, I can either put in my email, and then if it's not in the database, actually let me show you real quick. I'll do t@gmail.com and continue. Since it's not in the database, it's going to ask me for a password. And I'll put just some random password here, and then it'll open here, and then once again I can set a random name here. But then I'm gonna log back out and go to the preset email with the password 123456 that has some mock data that I can present. And once again, it shows the same updated user one name. Next, I'm gonna show up the search section, which allows for both searching and filtering through our data set. So first, going through here, we have showing 10 out of 10 cities because in my mock data set, there's 10 cities, which I'll elaborate on after showing this section. So in this, you can search, say I want to search for Paris. I can search and it'll show it. And then say if I want to filter through any of these, and once again, this is a scroll view here. Say I want to filter by places in Asia. It'll show me Dubai and Tokyo. And then say that I want to go in North America, apply, shows North America, but then I want to filter by countries. I only want to see ones in the United States. Then I click the United States, and then it shows that. And then once again, I click on it, and it will show me that detailed view with all of the options and stuff. Now going on to how the database works. So I leveraged both SQL and the Rooms library in Android in Kotlin. So the first thing is I created my database through SQL using DB Browser for SQLite. And what I did here was first the attractions table. The cities table is an SQL table with create table cities. So in this you have a integer, which is the ID, which would be our primary key. Then you have the city name, country, image, which is just the link to the image, maps, which is the link to its Google Maps, and then the continent that it's a part of. And the primary key is going to be the ID, which gets auto-incremented on its own. Then you can, if you look at the table, you can see the browse data. For the cities table, you'll see the data that you see for all the 10 cities. Next, for the attractions, I have in each attraction there's an ID, a city name, which is whatever city that attraction's for. So say Statue of Liberty will have ID auto-incremented, city name New York City, and then the attraction would just be Statue of Liberty with the image being the link to this image right here, the Statue of Liberty, the description, which is a symbol of freedom gifted by France, etc., and then the rating, which is 4.8 right here. And you can once again visualize this data by browsing this data into attractions. And I was able to pull this using images.unsplash in order to get free licensing on the images. And I used Google Sheets in order to type up all the information, and then I transfer this onto SQL. And then after transferring it onto SQL, I leveraged Rooms because I liked the way that it was implemented, the Rooms library. And what I did here was I used a list of for the city records and attraction records of the exact same data that was on that SQL server. And now then what results is this database right here with all this information. The next thing I want to highlight is the history and how it works with Firebase. So first here is trip history, which will show you the different trips that you've been on. So say I want to log Paris, France. And since this one, I logged in Austin, but since Austin's not a part of the database, it's showing blank here. But say I want to log in a fresh city that I've traveled to. So say that recently I went to, let's say, Toronto. I'll type in the city as Toronto. And say the date I went was New Year's. So I reached 12-30-2025. And I ended my trip 01-02-2026. The overall rating I gave it, let me just give it some random rating, 9.999, rate city as the description. So it gives me, I gave the option of putting an overall rating and then different aspects of the rating such as food, activity, city, beauty. Then you click save and you'll see right here, it shows the trip I just logged. It's star rating, Toronto, and since it's in the database, it has the picture. Overall rating, food rating, activity rating, city beauty, description, date started, and date ended. And then you can see that it works for all of these. Now the way that it works is through, here, let me show you the exact Firebase setup. So using logs, which is the collection for our history of trips that we've been on, it gives an automatic ID for each trip that I log into this logs. And in each trip, I'll have activity rating, beauty, city, details, end date, food rating, overall rating, start date. So pretty much everything that was showing up on our UI, but then also user, which will highlight which users from. So only trips that we log will be visible for us. And then whatever other trips are logged by other users are only visible to them because we search by only our username. The next thing that I want to focus on is the planner section. So in the planner section, you see that there's something called future trips and collaboration trips. So collaboration trips are any trips that you have planned with anyone else, basically multi-user trips. And then future trips are trips that you have that are both collaboration trips and solo trips. And the thing with collaboration trips is you will have a planner section that each day you can edit, and any of the users in the collaboration trip can edit the plan itineraries for that day. And the way that I implemented this was through Firebase and using the first trips collection. So the trips collection holds the actual trip. So say if me and Tom are planning a trip to New York City. So first thing is it creates a unique ID for this one, 1PNC ... for the trip in the city, New York, start date 6-15, end date 6-17, and then the users. So for me, it'd be my unique user ID, which would be 4DHCF, and then Tom's unique ID, which would be HC9FL. All right. And then in that trip, for every day that we will be traveling, including the start date and end date, we create a plans. In the plans collection, we create another data set. And in this, the way that I scripted it was so that whatever unique ID was generated for the trip, the plan's unique ID would just be that trip, and then whatever date that the plan we want, whatever date of that itinerary we want to edit. So for 1PNC, since there's 3 days on the trip, it would create 1PNC ... and then 06-15-2026, 06-16-2026, and 06-17-2026. This was to ensure that I could query it easily because I have an identifier, and also that every identifier is unique because every date would be unique. And then inside each plan in the collections plans is just a simple date, text, which is just the plans that we'll have for that day, and then last update, which is whoever last updated. Now, to highlight how this works, first I'll show you how to log a trip. So say I want to just plan a trip to, let me think of one, Dubai. And say it will be next year 2-12-2027 to 2-15-2027. And then I have the option to click between many users. I will just click my own. And now it's saved the new plan. Now that that's been added to our planner, I can scroll here and see it right here, and then I can click on it. So since I'm the only user for this, I'm the only one who can edit it, and then I can put notes and basically change the plans for that day. So say I'm going to land at 8 a.m., I can do 8 a.m. land. 10 a.m. reach hotel. Click apply, and then what we see is in our data set, right? We have plans, and then we have our new trip. Let me pull it up. Dubai, our new trip, and then for each plan, and since like you see everything lines up, for the plan 02-12-2027, you can see what I put in: 8 a.m. land, 10 a.m. reach hotel. Now the way that this works with the share mutable state is the exact same. So for instance, say I have a collaboration project, and this one is a collaboration project with me and one more account. So in this, I already have a bit of data, but now I'll remove all of this, and then just put in a simple thing that this shows mutable shared state, and click apply. Now we have a trip to Tokyo, Japan from May 12th to May 15, 2026 with all these plans here, and then on May 12th I put that this shows mutable shared state. Now when I go log out of this account and log in, and now we're going to log into a different account. This one's going to be on Tom's name. It looks similar, but this is at email.com instead of at gmail.com. There we go. And now we're logged into the account. And in this, once again, let's change our display name to Tom. Set display name. We'll go to our planner, we'll go to our trip, and we'll see that this shows mutable shared state. And then we'll say Tom wrote this. And now we're going to log out of Tom's account and log back into my account, and then we should see that it still shows the updated version that Tom wrote this. And as you can see here, the shared mutable state works properly as it shows Tom wrote this. To conclude, this is my entire project, and I was happy to point out a lot of the major functionalities of this that meet the core requirements, including the city discovery, where you can look at different cities, parse through them, click on them, see their different attractions, all of that. The travel history log, where you can log what you traveled, and then you can see the different datas and all of that per whatever user you have, and then show it matching, corresponding on the user profile for cities loved, cities visited, etc. Then also the collaborative planner that allows the use of a shared mutable state where multiple users can work together in order to change the plans for whatever day or multi-days of their trip in order to create a nice interactive itinerary. And then the fourth one I was able to implement was the room database in order to leverage the room library in Kotlin to grab a bunch of data and parse it and then show it which were the cities, different cities. Originally, the infrastructure was even more advanced because I leveraged Google Places and Google Maps API together so that any city would be searchable. The number of cities you could filter through were 500 plus, and then any time you clicked on it, it would do another Place API call and get a bunch of custom-made answers and show a Google map that was interactable. However, the issue with this is it became very expensive, and then at one point it accrued this much value in over just 2 days. So after that, I realized that it wasn't going to be viable, and then I talked to the TAs, and they said the best route of action was to probably just do a hard-coded database. So yeah, overall, this is my entire project. I appreciate you taking your time and watching it. Thank you.